Is the Vortex Crossfire sight too budget to be taken seriously? Is the dot daylight bright? And how does it compare to the Stinger Axiom 2? Hi, I'm Tina from Target Tamers, and we purchased the Vortex Crossfire to answer these questions and more. I've put a few hundred rounds through it on 2 AR style rifles, and I've had enough time to weed out its strengths and reveal its ugly side. I'll show you illumination of the footage, mounting options, and what I recommend it for. Though it's extremely popular with buyers, I have a fair comparison of my honest thoughts of the Vortex Crossfire, so stay tuned while we jump right into the specs. Now the Crossfire is your typical red dot sight with 1x power, 22mm objective lens, a 2 MOA dot, 1 MOA adjustments, 11 illumination settings that includes 2 that are night vision compatible, a 50,000 hour battery life with a single CR-RD2 battery, a 2.5 inch length, and a 5.2 ounce weight. Now what comes in the box? The Crossfire comes with rubber bikini caps, 2 mounts, a T10 Torx wrench, lens cloth, extra screws, and a manual. The box is nice, it has foam inserts, everything is neatly packaged in separate baggies. Let's move on. Glass quality. Now the Vortex Crossfire is an entry-level basic red dot sight, and as such there isn't anything fancy about its glass components, but it does have the best of coating treatments. Fully multi-coated coatings, FMC, so all air to glass surfaces are treated to reduce glare and reflections and increase that light transmission. From hands-on testing in the field, it's good glass. I hardly noticed any chromatic aberration. I did feel that there was a cool tint to the color fidelity, leaning more towards the blues. Overall, its optical quality is good and is nothing to complain about at this price point. Build quality. Now the Vortex Crossfire does not stand out too much from alternatives in the market in terms of build quality. It's made in China, has what seems to be an aluminum build and a matte black anodized finish. Now it's not what I'd call scratch resistant because it has taken some abrasion from drop tests and it hasn't handled that so well. I like the Vortex logos on the mount. On the top panel of the body above the objective lens is a very light etching of the Vortex logo. That is a nice unique addition right there. There is also a Crossfire etching on the side. I like that. I'm one that thinks that less is more when it comes to decal. So anything along the blackout etched low-key decal is something that will catch my eye. I think the Crossfire could have done without the white CR-2032 referencing, but I suppose it's there to remind you forgetful folks. Though the Vortex didn't list any gases for fog-proof protection, I'm assuming they did use nitrogen gas. I submerged the Crossfire without the turret caps and illumination on, and things are just fine over a week of having done this. No internal fogging, the lenses were just okay in shedding water, and I haven't detected any electrical issues yet. Illumination. The Crossfire has 11 illumination settings, and I'm a huge fan of right-sided knobs versus them being on top. 0 deactivates illumination. There are 2 night vision compatible settings for use with night vision gear. It's powered by a single CR-2032 battery for a runtime of 50,000 hours at brightness setting 6. The dot is reasonably daylight bright. I found myself sitting in the higher settings than I have done with alternatives, spending most of my time at 10 and 11 in sunny 90-degree conditions. At setting 7, I can barely see it at all. In low light conditions, things are very different. Those higher settings I'm most comfortable in during the day are way too much after sundown and beyond. Excessive bleeding and reflections are obvious. Setting 8 is good, but comfort levels will be in the 4 to 7 range in low light conditions. Setting 3 was not visible at all to me, along with the Night Vision 1 and Night Vision 2 settings. For those with refractive error vision problems like narrow farsightedness and or astigmatism, you'll have the same experience with the Crossfire as you do with almost all other red dot sights. With use of a magnifier, it can be exaggerated. However, it may start to even itself up beyond 10 to 15 yards like it did for me. Now the Crossfire works fantastic as a lone wolf, but paired with magnification, only you can determine your tolerance level of dot distortion. Turrets. Now the Crossfire has 1 MOA adjustments. The turret caps are made of metal, and you can see small O-ring seals around the base of the threading. That top turret is somewhat recessed as the body of the red dot sight sort of shields and envelopes it. Now, I don't really like that because it gives me about 25% less surface coverage to twist that turret cap on and off. So it wasn't very user friendly with gloves on, which is a downside for me because most of the time I'm shooting with gloves. Now, one huge plus that I really liked about the Crossfire turrets is that the clicks themselves are not silky smooth to adjust. Now, let me talk about that for a second. A lot of the red dot sights that I have field tested tend to be on the very easy side to adjust, so much so that I usually recommend being deliberate and being aware about it or you'll lose count. This is not the case with the Vortex Crossfire. It has what I feel is a perfect amount of resistance to make an adjustment that is deliberate, not hard, but a deliberate effort. I think Vortex nailed this feature. Mounting. So the Crossfire comes with a multi-height mounting system, which is 2 separate mounts in the box. The one that comes attached to the Crossfire is the high riser mount that provides a lower through witness with backup iron sights. As you can see, you can run it with sights, not a problem. The other mount is low profile, pretty standard mounting setup, no issues. The mounts are quality made, never once came loose on the rail, and the high mount is skeletonized like many other modern red dot mounts are these days. As you can see with the T1 footprint, it fits to universal quick detach mounts too. By the way, a quick detach mount is not included. Vortex includes the T10 Torx wrench to mount it to your Picatinny rail and a few extra screws just in case. You will need your own coin or a flathead screwdriver to open, to loosen, and tighten that battery cap. Before I get into how it performed at the range, please let me take a minute to remind you that if you're enjoying the information I have on the Vortex Crossfire, please hit the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. You know the gist, right? Okay, let's move on. Range performance. So the Crossfire is very much a 2 MOA red dot sight. It tracked great. I love the feel of the turret adjustments and it sat extremely well with the 6-hour Juliet 3 magnifier. With the magnifier, you're getting that 3 times magnification, which is awesome to have to see a little better and have the chance to squeeze out some accuracy. Unfortunately, with any magnifier, you're limiting yourself on field of view, eye relief, and one eye use. Now the Crossfire performed really well with 2 eyes open. It's easy enough to do so and is absolutely a see the dot and shoot optic. I didn't bother bore sighting, though this is a step that is highly recommended, so don't do as I do, but do as I say. My first group on paper, voila, awesome. I can't seem to shrink my groups with the M&P regardless of the ammo I use. It didn't take much effort to get to 100 yards, and because it's a red dot, I had to hit steel with it at 100. With ears on, you can hear the plinks, and it's my favorite sound at the range. It was fun to plink with on a M&P 1522 at 50 yards and blow up water bottles at various yardages with an AR shooting 5.56 loads. With the AR-15, you can sit all day long with that for plinking and some hunting. Cons. What don't I like about the Crossfire? Well, number one, the illumination knob is inconveniently too tough to rotate. And because the illumination deactivates in between settings, you actually need to make sure that you turn it all the way to the next setting for it to reactivate. I lost the dot a couple times while in a rush due to this very fact that I didn't turn it all the way. One thing in the knob's favor is that it's actually oversized, so it should make it a lot easier to use, but because that windage turret is so darn close to it, it kind of takes away from what could be a good structural highlight feature about a basic red dot sight. Secondly, it's to do with the illumination knob again. I'm a big fan of illumination knobs that allow you to rotate both forwards and backwards past 0. So to get up to max brightness, you can't just go from 0 to 11. You have to dial up through the night vision settings, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 11. And then to turn the illumination off, you can't just go from 11 to 0. You have to scroll all the way back down. So given that it's tough to move, the lack of forwards and both backwards rotations is another sore point for me. Now the Crossfire versus the Stinger 2 Axiom red dot sight. Now it would be an injustice not to compare the Crossfire given that it's a entry-level standard red dot sight much like other alternatives in the market today. I chose the Stinger Axiom 2 that I have field tested. Now they're very similar in build quality, performance and their specs, so I'll only point out the differences. Now, thumbs up to the Vortex Crossfire for having a slightly larger objective lens size, and in its smooth and resistant turret adjustments, and it's slightly more compact in size. Now, the Axiom 2 has a much friendlier illumination knob. It rotates both forwards and backwards past 0, which is a fantastic convenience, and the illumination knob clicks are very tactile sounding. The windage turret is also placed further rearward, giving a bit more space between it and the illumination knob. I find the dot to be crisper and rounder, less star-like than the Crossfire. I like how the elevation turret isn't recessed into the body, and it comes with a quick detach mount. Also, the Stinger is cheaper than the Vortex Crossfire. Though the Crossfire is hands down more popular than the Axiom 2 red dot sight, personal preferences that I have put the Axiom 2 at the top of the list over the Crossfire red dot. Hashtag brutal truth. Now, is it Target Tamers approved? Even though I just did a very harsh comparison of the Vortex Crossfire red dot sight, I still deem it Target Tamers approved. Now, it is still a very affordable, good performing red dot sight from an authoritative brand backed by an industry best warranty. We all know the warranty. VIP, very important promise, unconditional, unlimited, lifetime. Now, that kind of reputation means something in this industry. So if you're on a budget and if you're brand loyal, the Crossfire will be your go-to optic. Performance is as expected for an entry-level Vortex red dot sight, intentionally designed to be without the frills, a no-nonsense optic. It's accurate, it holds 0, and it's tough. Because it works and it works well, it is a budget red dot sight to take seriously. I recommend it for a lot of plinking and recreational fun and some types of hunting because it's not instantly ready with features like shake awake, and I have experienced some illumination on off issues. I cannot recommend it for duty use law enforcement applications. Overall, the Vortex Crossfire is a decent little red dot sight for the money, and it comes with the Vortex warranty. As a first red dot sight for any rifle or shotgun, I might add, it meets beginner quality expectations, it's easy to use, and remains affordable. Thanks for tuning in today, folks. The written review to the Crossfire will be in a link in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and get outside.